Hello, spellcasters! My name is Chance, welcome to my spellbook, and thank you so much for taking a look at the 35th episode of our third level spell series. Today, we're taking a look at Lightning Bolt. This is the second video we're doing today, so make sure you're subscribed and check the community tab just so you stay updated when I'm releasing. I post the upload schedule with links there, so it's kind of the best place to look. In any case, Lightning Bolt is what we're talking about today. Makes it feel kind of like Palpatine. Super cool. If you're going for a lightning-based build, which is super easy to do in 5e, this is going to be one of your bread and butters. Really great spell. Fantastic spell. It is found on the Sorcerer and Wizard spell list, and it is found in the good old Player's Handbook, as it should be. Because you know what? Lightning Bolt, I don't care what you think, should be just as iconic as Fireball. Just as iconic. I know a lot of you are going to disagree on that in one way or another because the meme war is so strong, but if you factor that out, Lightning Bolt's really been around just as long as Fireball has, so I think it deserves some recognition for being an OG spell. But that, of course, is my humblest of opinions, but I wish it was, I don't know, whatever. Let's dive into its mechanics before I dig myself into a pit. Its damage is 8d6 plus an additional d6 per slot level above 3rd. The effect, at a glance, create a bolt of lightning that is capable of igniting flammable objects that aren't being worn or carried. The cast time is 1 action. The range is focused on self, but it does create a 100-foot line. The duration is instantaneous. The components are somatic, material, and verbal, so the holy trinity. And if you're curious about that material component, it is a bit of fur and a rod of amber, crystal, or glass. They're not consumed, so it's not as though you need to have those things on you. An arcane focus or component pouch should work just as well. But let's carry on. Its saving throw is Dexterity, and on a success they only take half damage. The school is Evocation, and the damage type is Lightning, which should be little surprise. Pretty cool stuff. Let's take a look at its full description now. A stroke of lightning forming a line 100 feet long and 5 feet wide blasts out from you in a direction you choose. Each creature in the line must make a dexterity saving throw. A creature takes 8d6 lightning damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. The lightning ignites flammable objects in the area that aren't being worn or carried. At higher levels, when you cast a spell using a spell slot of 4th level or higher, the damage increases by 1d6 for each slot level above 3rd. Very cool stuff. Kind of what you'd expect, however, from it. I have seen some interesting ideas regarding them having disadvantage on the saving throw if they're wearing metal, and to be fair, Shocking Grasp has a similar attachment to it. However, it's not by Raw. If Rule of Cool, you want to implement it as a Dungeon Master, you're certainly allowed to. I would encourage it, as a matter of fact. I think it makes sense logically, thematically, and I think it would give this spell a slight advantage over Fireball, perhaps. In terms of damage, it's never going to be there, and in terms of AoE, it's probably never going to be there as well. But, you know, if they're more likely to fail the save, that might help balance out the damage component of it. However, that, of course, is completely optional and up to the Dungeon Master. Another thing that I've had some slight questions about is the ignition part of it. So, usually it's implied that the spell has to make direct contact with something in order to ignite it, right? However, the wording here is the lightning ignites flammable objects in the area. So what is the area, right? I would say 5 feet in either direction of the lightning bolt. Like it might arc and spark something ablaze. That to me makes sense. However, feel free to implement it as you see fit. Because as far as I've been able to tell, there haven't been any direct comments on it yet, and I doubt there's going to be. It's one of those ambiguous things that doesn't usually affect the play of game, but I feel like someone's going to ask me about it at some point or another, so yeah, might as well address it in the video, right? Now, with all of that out of the way, let's get to work on some alternative uses here. The first use, and I feel bad including this as an alternative use all the time, because it's really the intended purpose of the spell itself, is to just affect multiple opponents. The fact that it's a line with ludicrous range when you really think about it, 100 feet is great range for a spell that targets a single person, but this isn't like that, right? Like, it's, you create a 100-foot bolt of lightning from your palm essentially, so it's quite thematically it's almost overwhelming to really conceptualize. It's really cool though, so targeting multiple people is one, and in terms of planning, this spell is super awesome. Whether you're trying to reactivate a long since dormant construct and you need to recharge it, or whether you're trying to make a trap for other enemies to fall into and you're trying to get them into a narrow corridor and just blast them. This spell certainly does have a thematic flair and a decent amount of utility to it. I suppose you could also use it to signal as well, although if you're going to burn a 3rd level spell slot to do that, I'd probably caution you against it. There are spells of lower level and even some cantrips that would probably be just as good. However, might as well mention it. Something else I do want to point out for those dungeon masters out there, this spell has pretty good synergy with Glyph of Warding. If you're going to be making traps in a dungeon, this is a really good way to do it. It does a pretty decent amount of damage, however, most party members will be able to tank it, and it's just cool, even from a thematic standpoint, right? So you could very easily incorporate this into making dungeons, which is nice. And, you got like the whole Palpatine vibe, so if you want to give it to the BVEG, I would certainly encourage that as well. However, with all that out of the way, that's kind of all I got for it. It's really hard to do alternative uses for spells that are meant to do purely damage. However, you could just use this to burn a place down to the ground as well, especially if you follow my 5 feet in other directions rule, because that's essentially 300 feet of area that's going to be burnt, right? And that would be pretty dang sizable if you consider it. So if you're running from people and you happen to be in a barn or a warehouse or something of that nature, you just shoot this out from behind you, send the whole thing ablaze, and keep powering through. So I suppose that is something else you could use it for. However, yeah, outside of that, I'm kind of at a loss. You could get more creative and kind of bend the rules of Raw so you could have it affect weapons and stuff, but I will leave that up to dungeon masters and their discretion. However, with all that being said, let me know what you think of a lightning bolt down beneath in the comments section. Be sure to mention any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, or stories of your own involving the spell. And of course, if you'd like a free one-shot written by yours truly, feel free to go to the guild hall, hop onto the job board, click whichever one you'd like. There's 2 up there now, but we're uploading more fairly regularly. And just use code WELCOME to get one for free, and let me know what you think of it. And feel free to subscribe to my other channel, Chance's Guide to Pathfinder 2e as well. And yeah, make sure you're subscribed and check the community tab as I mentioned earlier. Now with all of that out of the way, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I really do appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy spellcasting, everyone. Also, P.S. I did an interview with Nerdarchy today. It's up on their site, or up on their page, sorry. Feel free to check it out if you'd like. I'd really appreciate it. Now, that's it. So, see you guys later. Next upload will be in 2 hours.